The Seattle Sounders' brand new 2025 kit is here. Inspired by two traditional Southern Coast Salish weaving techniques, twilling and twinning. These techniques, passed down through generations, honor the resilience, deep-rooted ties, and creativity that define the cultural fabric of this region. The striking deep blue jersey will be worn by the Sounders for the next 2 seasons to honor the club's deep connection with the Puget Sound and shared responsibility as stewards of the greater Salish Sea watershed. Backing up that commitment, the Seattle Sounders will donate up to $50,000 to benefit community charities around the Puget Sound region. To get your very own Salish Sea kit, visit lobbingscorchers.com/kit. That's lobbingscorchers.com/KIT.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to another Postgame Live. Folks, we have got a lot to get to tonight. The Seattle Sounders played Minnesota United at Lumen Field. They take a 3-2 L. But the L itself almost felt like a subplot. There was a pre-game player protest regarding the ongoing dispute about the division of the participation money for the Club World Cup. And that really stole the show, honestly, at least before the game. But we're going to talk about the game itself. I think we're probably going to start with the protest because that's how it all started off. But we are going to talk about the game itself. Seattle's first home defeat of the season. And then after we get through that, going to talk about the Vancouver Whitecaps a little bit. The Vancouver Whitecaps played in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final tonight, and it did not go particularly well. It did not. The Seattle Sounders are emphatically still the only MLS club to ever win CONCACAF Champions Cup, which I'm always a little torn on how I should feel about that. Like, if I should be rooting for other MLS clubs in this competition out of like MLS solidarity, or if I should take Schadenfreude when they crash out. Sorry, I'm getting a little. Oh, okay, my bad. Had it open in another tab, and I was getting overlapping audio there, but we're good now. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I found myself rooting for the Whitecaps just because I really like the team that they have this year, and the run that they've been on has been undeniably incredible. But I won't lie. Every time the last MLS club does crash out, I do enjoy it a little bit. Not necessarily enjoy it, but it retains the novelty of Seattle being the only club to do it. So we'll get into that later, and I'll also take some calls if you want to hop on, lay down some takes, cope, whatever the case may be. But what I'm going to do is going to play the Brian Schmetzer press conference first, and then the players had a little it was like a squad press gathering in the locker room after the game. Got some video of that, so we'll play that. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it because it's clearly like this dispute has been covered. Jada Evans wrote it up in the Seattle Times. The players have been clear that they are not happy about this. And it doesn't surprise me that they would make a statement to that effect. I can't say I expected shirts with the Monopoly guy. Let's just take a look at the shirts real quick before we get into this. I have it right here. Club World Cup cash grab. This picture Noah got of Obed Vargas wearing it. You can see here, it's got the Monopoly guy. Monopoly guy wearing an MLS hat, FIFA. They all came out wearing those. So that is quite the statement. We'll see if that actually leads to, I think Stefan Fry and Christian Roldan were talking about it after the game, but I think the one of the primary sources of their frustration has been the lack of dialogue. And I'll say from my perspective, I'm with them on that much. I don't see why there's not a dialogue about it. I don't think it's about like being greedy or unappreciative. I think it's about basic fairness. You have a 90-10 split. I'm trying to put myself in the situation of someone who is taking on the extra workload of a tournament like this, the physical and mental demands that puts on you. And then the prize money or the participation money that you're going to divide up 90-10 split. I think it's fair to at least expect a dialogue on that and see if you can come to an arrangement that they find more palatable. But Brian Schmetzer also did point out after the game, I mean, when you do a pregame protest like that and then you lose the game, you do open yourself up to the notion that perhaps your focus wasn't entirely on the game. And Christian Roldan admitted that it has been a distraction for the players. So we're going to talk about it more, but let's do this presser first. I'll hit a couple things in chat as well before I play that. Derek, thank you for the one gifted membership. Appreciate your support as always, man. Let's see what we got going on in chat. And then we'll play the Schmetz presser. I thought the Schmetz presser was interesting. He said, I mean, well, you'll see, but he said that he didn't know about the planned protest. They didn't tell him. He found out with the rest of us. And his emotions on that seems to be mixed. All right. Get to a couple things in chat here. Bradford says, Q, lobbing Scorchers, throwing shade on anyone offering objectively yet critically review of players' performances, aka the brigade, especially regarding Rusnak. Objectively yet critically. I don't think we throw shade. We banter with the brigade. I'd like to think we're on cordial terms with the brigade. I will say that we don't need to do this, Bradford. The most recent result that the team takes doesn't have to be like a referendum or a proof of concept of whatever you think about any individual player, Albert Rusnak or anyone else. I think that's kind of the cycle that we fall into with this discourse sometimes. It's like all based on the most recent game. Like you understand that. I mean, I would agree that wasn't like a super great Rusnak game today, but I would also say I didn't think I think the defense lost this game today. I think the defense lost this game. I thought the offense generated some good chances and they got 2 goals. And based on how they played in attack, I think they played well enough in attack to not have to take an L in this game. An L in this game didn't have to happen. The defensive breakdowns, a lot of them are on this loss more than on the attack, in my opinion. Doug, I'll post the link to call in a bit here. I haven't dropped it in yet because we're going to do pressers first, but you'll see it in the chat when I drop it in, and then it's pretty easy from there. You just click on it and it should put you in the lobby. Will we get a striker for the Club World Cup, or is Craig actually being serious? I mean, I don't know if they're going to use this window, but Craig Wibbs did talk at Longacres the other day, and he made it pretty clear that whatever move they make is not gonna be like for the Club World Cup like that. Like it'll be with a eye on the holistic future. Like CR7 said in the post game, they are already capped, so if they advance, they will not get any extra prize money. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the issue here. Stefan Fry pointed out that like he was posing the hypothetical of say that an MLS team did win this tournament. You know, obviously that's astronomically unlikely, but like say they did and the club got the $120 million prize or whatever it is, and they're capped at 1 million of that. That is pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. Is that not crazy? Just on principle. Just on principle. They're capped at 1 mil. Yeah. They're capped at 1 mil. And they got 10 for participating. But what I think is interesting about it is if you think about who their beef is really with, it's with MLS. But is it not like mostly with like the owner, Adrian Hanauer? Because as I understand it, he has it within his power to do whatever he wants theoretically with that. I'm could be like wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he could just divide up that 10 million however and allocate like more of it to the players. And I think they said after the game, I'm pretty sure Fry said that they haven't been able to like have any sort of dialogue at all. And yeah, it is a that's sort of the thing is the CBA is very clear on that. But here's the thing, like I understand technically the CBA says what it says. But when you have a unique situation like this, where you have a tournament that's way more prize money than anything the CBA could have ever anticipated, like I can see the argument that you should be able to come up with a new agreement that everyone thinks is more fair. I don't know. Not very impressed with our new right winger, Jackson Reagan. Yeah, what was up with that? What was up with that? They had Jackson Reagan out wide a lot, lumbering into the primary assist zone. And it felt like Stu Hawks was floating out there a little bit too after he came on. I think that was something, they must have seen something on film with that. I don't know. Might have to go back and watch that. I don't know what was up with that. All right, let's do the Schmetz presser. Let's do the Schmetz presser and then the player presser. So it's going to be a lot of pressers here, but I think these are important to watch. And I'm also running a little bit of double duty here, so. Check out Schmetz's demeanor here. He said a couple things that kind of indicated that he wasn't pleased with how this whole thing was handled. I don't know. I'll let you guys see for yourself. Pulling it up right now.
Raised hand function button for us. We can get to your inquiry. At this time, we'll start on the front row over here. Jada, I saw your hand first.
Thanks. Thanks for the time, Brian. I have a two-parter. First, your players opened the match with the protest against Club World Cup. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, if you knew anything about that before.
I did not know about it. I knew that the union and the players were having conversations. I did not know that negotiations had, either gone good or bad. I didn't know that because, I didn't pay quite close enough attention. This is a free country where guys can certainly do certain things. I understand where they're coming from, but I also understand Adrian's side of things. He's put a lot of effort, energy into this club, his life into this club. And so, I'm for, good conversations. Sometimes they're hard conversations, but I'm good conversations to find a positive or, some form of solution. But, the protest shirt was a surprise.
And then as far as the match goes, the first half you were able to fend off some of their pressure, but kind of what broke down in the second half?
Well, what broke down was, we showed them clearly who Minnesota is, who they are. They're a team that concedes possession, drops off, plays on counterattacks, and we fell right into their trap. The first goal, throw in midfield, two guys got spun, they create one chance, they score, and credit to them. But it was on us, poor defending in that moment. Were we able to create enough in the first half? No, I don't think so. Not enough clear, obvious goal-scoring chances. Second goal on the PK, we've pushed Jackson Reagan higher up the field. We're trying to, get something. Christian's running with a guy. Jonathan Bell comes late. I mean, it's a penalty. It's a transition moment where we just need to do better. We need to have guys make play. And, the last one, I mean, look, I have told you guys in this room that Steph Fry is the best shot stopper in this league, bar none. But on that third goal, he needs to do better. He needs to push that ball wide. And he'll accept that. I mean, we'll talk about it. Because goalkeepers have a very tough job, because if they make a mistake, it usually ends up poorly. When a defender or midfielder makes a mistake, usually there's some guys behind it, and Steph has saved our ass a bunch of times. So in that sense, our guys just didn't make the plays when they needed to.
All right, we'll go to Nico next.
Coach, just wanted to get your take on, do you kind of mention Jackson Reagan getting a lot higher? Was that a designed strategy prior to this game to get him that high up?
No, it wasn't prior to the game. That's just the way the game unfolded, because what we were trying to do was create overloads against 5-4-1. And since they have a bunch of guys in the middle of the field, you needed to create a 3 versus 2 or a 4 versus 3 in those little wide areas, in those pockets. And because they only had one forward and we build with 3, one center back pushes, you still have 2 against 1 to cover. So it's one of those things that, just manifested itself during the game.
And if you had to decipher maybe what went wrong, knowing that you were probably going to have to break down Minnesota, what would it be? Is it switching the point of attack? What was it that didn't
just
work?
Making plays. I don't think the guys made enough plays today. We were good in some moments. We had some possession. It looked dangerous or halfway dangerous. I mean, Georgia came on and did some really good things, but then there was that final piece that might have been missing. Ryan, the same thing, the second half, some good stuff, some other stuff. Paul in the first half got behind his guy, was able to get Russell in trouble, but it just wasn't enough today. It just wasn't.
All right, we'll come over to Jeremiah and then swing around to this side of the room.
If you were to articulate what you thought Minnesota did particularly well in terms of limiting you, what do you think that was?
Just become hard to beat. They stack 3 good big center backs, 2 wing backs, a line of 4. There's just not a lot of space to play in. Sometimes you like to play through the middle. They were preventing that. We had to go side to side a little bit more, try and create those overloads. I think they did a good job, but that's true to who they are. I think for us, again, I think our guys were, again, It's hard to say, again, a lack of patience, but we needed to be more dramatic in some moments when we had the opportunity, and then a little more patience, like towards the end of the game where we were, still in the game at 2-1 and still in the game at 3-2, but we were kind of rushed in some of those moments.
All right, Maz, down to you.
Yeah, Brian, how would you rate the play of your 6 and your 8 in the middle there in terms of
Christian and Obed?
Yeah,
It was fine. I mean, Obed was more of a tactical switch for this game. Last game, I took him off because I didn't think he was playing up to his potential. But for this, I wanted to keep Albert on the field for set pieces and stuff like that. And we needed to get a second forward in there. I mean, it was pretty clear. And Osaze came on and did a good job.
Did Jackson Reagan going up push Christian back a little bit more than you
No.
would have liked?
No. I don't think so.
All right, we'll go over to George here on the back row next. As the mic makes his way over to him, reminder for those on Zoom, if you have a question, please hit the raised hand function button.
Can I make it in Portuguese?
You can if you like, yeah.
Yeah. Gostaria de saber o que é que sabe acerca do Botafogo e como é que está a preparar o jogo contra o Botafogo.
I'd like to know about the preparations and the plans to face Botafogo.
Well, similar to perhaps the protest shirt tonight, we're not focused on Botafogo. Tonight was an opportunity to surpass the team that was directly ahead of us. And against Vancouver, there's a chance to gain points against a Western Conference opponent. And that's what's most important.
Bom, similarmente com a pergunta sobre o protesto, hoje o foco ainda não é o Botafogo. A gente tem que pensar nas oportunidades. Hoje foi uma oportunidade de passar o time na frente e no jogo com o Vancouver teremos uma outra oportunidade de ganhar pontos contra um time da West Conference, da Conferência Oeste. E isso é o mais importante.
Okay, next round of questions. Yeah, we'll go back row here.
What do you think you saw from the set pieces tonight, and what do you think you want to see more going
Our
forward?
set pieces?
Your set pieces, yeah.
Well, usually I review it during film. My off-the-cuff comments might be, we didn't score off any of them. I think we had a bunch. We put a lot of work into our set pieces. I always say it's life or death inside the penalty box. Teams can get plays and schemes and, opportunities from trick plays, but basically it comes down to good service. And then guys, as soon as the ball leaves Albert's foot, it's following the flight of the ball and trying to get your head on it or your foot on it or something. It's not that, crazy, or it's not that hard. So I'm not sure if we were as effective as we needed to be, because set pieces obviously in our league are an important thing.
All right, we'll come back down to Maz and then swing back to this side of the room.
Brian, do you feel you're getting the defensive marking and physicality that you need from your back four, and in terms of, and then your two backs? Because it seems like the last 3 games, opponents are having shots, like unpressured shots. Is that fair? Question?
I don't know. I'll look at the tape, Maz. You're a good guy and you see things, but I don't think so. I mean, look, we're playing Stuart Hawkins and Jonathan Bell. Kalani came on, and I thought, look, Kalani played well tonight. Stewie's got a promising future. Jonathan's been a good foot soldier. Knew who's done his part for the club defensively. I think Christian and Obed are, rangy. They pick up a lot of loose pieces. So I'll look for it.
All right, Nico.
2 questions. Just wanted to get your take on what you felt about Stuart Hawkins when he came into the game. third game this season?
He was fine. I mean, he was good. I mean, look, Jackson was on a time restriction. But Stewie Kewan did fine. I mean, he's getting better in the air. I like to see that. You talk about aerials and set pieces. He was decent. But work in progress, though.
And in terms of transition defense that maybe failed at times today, moving forward towards Vancouver as well, that tends to be a team that gets forward in transition. What needs to get better and what kind of went wrong today?
Again, I'll watch tape for a final answer. Look, on the one, I think it was the third goal when, Nuhu goes forward, Pedro loses the ball. We get 9 guys back. So I'm not so sure tonight was all about the transition defending. Yeah, the PK, okay, fine. But, I'm not so sure it was the complete lack of transition defending. I just don't think we made plays defensively. But then again, to be fair to the defenders who put the work in, we just didn't do enough on the attacking side of the ball.
Anything else on this side of the room? All right, we'll take one or two more. George.
Coach, you made some changes to the starting 11. I assume one of them was because of the baby from Jesus. Any news on that? And did you get the outcome that you wanted from the changes that you made?
Yeah, I think the guys that started the game were good. I thought Pedro was okay. I thought Kalani was, again, very good. Jonathan, Jackson coming back was a positive. Jesus, yes, he is with his wife and she is giving birth or in the process of everything. And we're excited for a new member of the Sounder family.
All right, Diego, you got the last one here.
Buenas. Considerando que se ganaron los 2 partidos anteriores jugando en casa, ¿hubo quizás una subestimación con el Minnesota pensando que se le podía ganar con facilidad? Y este conflicto, este aparente conflicto que hay, ¿pudo haber influido en algo en el ánimo del equipo?
Considering that we won the last 2 games, the last 2 home games, do you believe that there was probably an over estimation about, that this should have been an easy win against Minnesota? And then do you believe that the conflict that happened earlier on the game today about the Club World Cup influenced the state of mind of the players for the game?
Well, we did not underestimate Minnesota. And the statement that the players tried to make today, they have to back it up. And so, tonight, I'm not so sure because I was looking specifically at the effort that they put into the game, which I think they did. But, they leave now the question open of, was their concentration fully there on their opponent?
No, en realidad no subestimamos de ninguna manera a Minnesota. Es un equipo que lo respetamos y no lo subestimamos en ningún momento. Ahora, la posición de los jugadores con respecto a lo de la Copa de Clubes es algo que es su palabra y algo que ellos ahora lo tienen que respaldar con acciones. Entonces, va a estar en ellos ver si es que realmente estaban completamente concentrados en el partido y si es algo que afectó a su performance.
Walker's over.
That was Schmet's postgame, and to me, it sounded like he was pretty heavily implying that the protest might have affected the team's focus and concentration. Or he said that the fact that they lost the game opens up that question. And just kind of the way he was talking about it earlier in the presser too, it seems like he's of that belief. Do I think that the protest affected their concentration in the actual game? I have no idea. It's hard to say. I'm not inside anyone's head. Does it really work like that? I don't know. Like when you're out there playing, are you like mishitting a pass because you're thinking about your Club World Cup money? Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe. But I thought it was interesting. Schmetz said that he didn't know about it. It was sprung on him pregame. But he was very clear at the end there. You know, he said basically, if you're going to do that, you got to back it up. You got to go out and show that it's not a distraction. So we're going to talk about that more, but I'm going to play the players presser first. Some of you might have seen it already, but I think that is a important context to have here. So I'm going to play that. It's pretty much all Stefan Fry and Christian Roldan, and you guys can hear what the players themselves have to say about this issue. This was filmed by Jackson Feltz, by the way. Shout out Jackson Feltz. Shout out Sports Radio KJR.
Just take us through the pregame and what the message was there, and then what y'all have to say about the shirts that you wore.
Yeah. Obviously, our Club World Cup tournament is less than about 2 weeks away. We have no idea what's going on in terms of the distribution of funds for a tournament of this size. We've made numerous.
Can you guys hear this all right?
To get to the table and actually talk and figure things out. It's a shame that we're 2 weeks away and we have absolutely no clue. We've, like I said, we've tried to. We've even put a letter together. All the players that are involved on multiple teams signed it.
Okay. Let me try again. Let me know if this is better.
Pregame and what the message was there, and then what y'all have to say about the shirts that you wore.
Yeah. Obviously, our Club World Cup tournament is less than about 2 weeks away. We have no idea what's going on in terms of the distribution of funds for a tournament of this size. We've made numerous attempts to try to get to the table and actually talk and figure things out. It's a shame that we're 2 weeks away and we have absolutely no clue. We've, like I said, we've tried to. We've even put a letter together. All the players that are involved on multiple teams signed it in private, trying to, force them or encourage them to try to talk to us so we can figure things out, because we wanted to put this to bed a long time ago so we can focus on things. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened yet. And like I said, we're less than over 2 weeks away from this. Felt it was important that we somehow get a message out that hopefully we can finally talk and figure things out.
Ryan had made that comment that while he understands both sides, it was a situation where you needed to back it up as far as the match goes and the play goes. Do you kind of agree with that as far as, taking into account the protest and not getting it?
Yeah, we would have loved to win, right? To kind of send that statement off in the right direction. Obviously, bummed about the game, but the reality is that this is a huge distraction for us, right? We have known about prize money for a long time now, and we have gotten to this point where we're 2 weeks away from the tournament and not knowing where we're at, not even essentially getting a response. And so while it is frustrating that we didn't get a result, it is a huge distraction for us to have to deal with this on a daily basis. And, we're having to focus on MLS play and with this on in the back of our minds. So the reality is we need to get this sorted because if Vancouver wins, they're going to have to be dealing with this 4 years from now, right? And there's no language in the CBA when it comes to the Club World Cup.
What is Adrian, if you've had any conversations with him, what has he said, maybe even personally or specifically to you?
that's kind of the issue, is that we've been trying to engage and nobody seems to want to talk to us. We've been getting from the league, we've been getting through the union promises that something's coming, and next thing you know, it's 20-something days and nothing has come. And now we're less than 20 days from the tournament, 14 days away from the tournament. So at some point we wanted to talk a long time ago. Like I said, we tried avenues that were private, respectful, because I think what we're asking for is something that's there. We're not asking to make more than what I think is FIFA thought would be fair for players. Again, FIFA made a point that they wanted to make sure this tournament would be treated with the utmost respect by the teams, by the players, and that you would come here and not treat this as a preseason tournament for teams that are just finished their league or whatnot. So, and they've already established a tier system as well, and we agree with that tier system as well. I think Paris Saint-Germain is a bigger team than we are. We're well aware of that. We're realistic about those things. But if the world is getting a certain percentage of being here and participating on stage, then I think it's just everything that has to go. And like I said, just to get negotiations would be nice talk, but we haven't done it.
Do you feel comfortable saying what the players are looking for, or is it just you're trying to start the conversation and it's not even to the point of demands?
Well, we haven't even gotten to that point.
No, I mean honestly, like when this tournament was announced and prize money was yet to be determined, which let's go back a year and change ago. I think if there would have been a letter to be signed that we get the same thing as in terms of percentage that other teams get and it's fair, we would have signed it, and not knowing exactly what that means, because it just means it's fair. But no, we have no idea.
And I have a memory of this sort of thing happening in 2022, whenever when you were previously in the Club World Cup, and it felt like you guys were trying to start this conversation again. It felt like you were getting the same sort of response of not getting a response. I'm just curious if you can remind us what that process was and what if you kind of saw this coming a little bit.
Well, these were uncharted territory, right? And even from 2022 to now, the league has grown, and we're, you see LAFC now yesterday, a huge game to rightfully now be also part of this tournament. So things are changing, I know this clause has been, everybody talks about in the CBA, but this is one that's been put in long before these big tournaments showed up. I mean, just to give you perspective, winning the CONCACAF Champions League is netting you way more than what right now it seems Club World Cup will. But yet you need to win CONCACAF Champions League to get to Club World Cup, and that just doesn't make any sense. And so I think the league knows that we're growing, the sport is growing. That's great. I mean, having this stage here, having the chance to host this tournament in this country is amazing for the sport. We should all be stoked about this. That we get to play meaningful games, not friendly against the best of the best, and because we've earned it. And yet we are here now 2 weeks away from it, and when we have no idea what's going on, that's the question.
Have you been talking to the players from Inter Miami and IFC about the next steps, coordinating their effort?
Yeah, we've been in Zoom calls, again, either these are distractions or I shouldn't be having to have these conversations 2 weeks away. But we've had these Zoom calls with Inter Miami now. LAFC is kind of in the picture. We have been talking to them just a bit, not knowing what was going to happen for them. But the reality is, the next step is to engage with you. So we're obviously united in that front, and that's essentially the next step for us.
Do you know if the 50,000 cards are in the last or cards are the only owners who have visibility about that? The individual owners,
Sort of is, as far as we think that's the same. I mean, we talk to our union who obviously represent us, and they try to engage with their counterparts in those company league, also with the group. I mean, we're the only league that has 3 teams that will be represented. It's amazing. It's amazing for the sport, again, for this country. For the sport to grow, with also what's happening next year with the World Cup coming. And it's just, I think we are growing, but we're at the same time, at times we're trying to go back. This is the world stage coming, and it's as big as it gets. And I think the things that come with it need to be appropriate as well.
Given what's going on with the finances, does it change your perspective at all on just the excitement of the tournament, of the games? Does it change the way they look at kind of just the games coming up themselves?
I mean, like I said, the moment we had a chance to play in Morocco, and at that point, I think we thought that was our only chance, and it was an amazing experience to go to Morocco after preseason, get to play against a champion from a different part of the world. An amazing short experience, but amazing nonetheless. And honestly, we thought that would be the end of it. So for them to change the tournament and the way you get into it, and us getting another chance. We were stoked, 100%. I mean, this is incredible, right? The cream of the crop, meeting all together, and getting to play against each other. This is what dreams are made of. But this was announced, 2 years ago? And from that point onward, you think, like I said, it's a long time, but I think we were hoping that we could engage a long time ago. And obviously, FIFA was trying to figure things out, but even them, I think they announced it quite a few months ago, in terms of what their plans were. Again, they probably, to me at least, it looks like they thought of things in terms of putting a tier system together, making sure that everybody is accounted for and is put into their right brackets. But it's just been silence since then. And that's, it's very frustrating. You want to be looking forward to these games. You want to be making sure that you can focus on your league. Because other teams are obviously done with their seasons. We're in the midst of it. We just played against the team that's right with us, and we would love to have just been, hey, that's the only thing we have to focus on, and the rest is good. And we're good to go, but the reality is not so.
What do you feel, or how do you feel about, teams want to have a stay in a hotel and go out on dinner, things like that, to kind of mark the public experience as much?
That's great. I mean, that's sort of the decision of the club. I know there's also rules in terms of how we come to the stadium or an event this caliber. I'm told that we need to arrive in a bus, and so that makes things a bit more difficult. People can't just show up from home the way we do for our home games. But honestly, we're straight here and there because for the most part, if you get a home field advantage, it's nice if you get to be at home, right? And you don't have to go to a hotel. You can maybe make your own meal to make sure your family is fine. Those are comfort things that some players actually appreciate. If you could do it. I actually don't know what the plan is in terms of us, the team, going for meals or going to hotels. Nobody has communicated anything like that with us. But I'm sure we talked to logistics.
If you could just, when was the decision made to do the display, to wear the shirts?
Well, we had been talking about it for quite some time now. This week, we had a meeting with our association. We made the decision to go with it. We had a lot of eyes on this game in particular. It is the only game that was being played on Sunday, and so we felt that it would make a statement. Unfortunately, it didn't come with an end, but the idea was to get the league to start engaging with us, right? To essentially send out a statement that we're unhappy, and the magnitude of this tournament is being displayed worldwide with the amount of bonuses that are being sent to clubs, and so we just want fair share.
And just to clarify, with your current agreement, if you win any games and if you progress, your bonus is capped at the current level. So that will be part of your discussion as well.
Correct. Yeah, we're capped. We already hit the cap, and so as you can tell, that's frustrating, right? Like we're capped from the very beginning.
What are the incentives then? Right. I mean, again, we're talking about an added tournament. Cutting the added.
All right. Apparently the audio is chalked. So sorry if that was a long time of not being able to hear well. I thought when I up that It was sounding better. No one said anything. But apologies. They didn't have like a microphone like they normally would in there, so that was just like the raw phone audio. So hopefully you guys could hear some of that. But I mean, I think the primary takeaway, if you were unable to hear, is that the frustration, it sounds to me, is primarily centered around the lack of dialogue. They're very clear that they think the split is unfair. It's out of whack. But that the reason they did this was because they can't get anyone to the table. And I'm sympathetic to that. I don't understand why there can't be a dialogue. To me, it sounds like they're not being told like anything. They're kind of just getting cold shouldered. So why not at least have the dialogue? I don't know. I'll be interested to see what the fallout from this is. I'll be honest. When I went to the stadium today, I was not expecting the whole team to take on the corporate oligarchy. But that's what happened. And then they lose the game, their first home loss of the season, which is tough. I feel like there's like more pressure on that game than there should have been, given everything that happened. But yeah, I agree, Andrew. It does seem un-Hanauer-like. I feel like he's known as is there such a thing as a player's owner? Like a player's coach, but like I've never heard a player say anything to the effect of like that he is not attentive to his players or doesn't listen to their concerns or anything like that. I guess I haven't really heard many quotes on that issue, period. But it does seem like a situation where, you know, the CBA is the CBA. They have like full legal standing to just keep that $1 million cap. It's one of those things though, where like the technicality doesn't have to outweigh common sense, you know. But I would be interested to hear Hanauer speak on this. Like I would, if there's some reason why his hands are tied or the organization hands are like fully tied, it would be nice to know that from an outside perspective, just out of curiosity, you know? So we shall see. I'm going to drop the call link in a second. But I'm looking at chat real quick just to see if there's anything that I missed. A few of you brought up the getting in more into the game itself. A few of you brought up the Minnesota player that got away unscathed with that what should have been a second yellow, which I don't think there's not like ref controversy to be had about this game really, other than that one in particular. But what I will say is that it is frustrating for it to happen like the second time in the last few weeks where the ref withholds the yellow because he gave the same player a yellow earlier. Like he would have given the yellow if he wasn't already on one. And like, I don't know, I thought that foul by that guy was a pretty clear yellow. So bad precedent. They just negotiated these exact terms in the CBA. Yeah, I get that, but like what Fry was saying is like that was agreed on without taking into account participation in a tournament with this much prize money. It's so the amount of prize money at play here is so far beyond, I think, anything. It's clearly beyond anything that was anticipated when it was negotiated, which you could say hindsight's 2020, but it just feels like one of those things where there's unique circumstances that happened that weren't anticipated when the original rule or agreement was come to, right? I'm just trying to illustrate the situation as I understand it. Yeah, it was about Open Cup and Leagues Cup. It's Open Cup is slightly less prize money. They can lean on the CBA like that, but you would hope at some point basic fairness would be part of the equation. But like it's tough, being a full outsider and not knowing the fine points of it. Like I'm open to the notion that maybe Hanauer, maybe there is some reason that we don't know where Hanauer's like, I literally can't do that. That could be the case, but we don't until we know that reason. Then we just don't know. I think the max prize money a club could earn from winning all comps was about $1 million when the CBA was negotiated. Yeah, I think that's the thing to understand, is that this happened because there was sort of an unforeseen situation where the amount of prize money or the participation money was just so far and away beyond what they thought they were preparing for when they made the CBA. That's sort of what I mean when I say, like, you wish common sense could be applied in situations like this sometimes. The bureaucratic corporate oligarchy, like, if there's like a rule or a technicality, it's like, well, that must be adhered to unequivocally, no matter what, because that is what is decided. But if you just took a step back and were like, okay, that wasn't anticipated when we were negotiating this for Open Cup and Leagues Cup, maybe we can just have a little dialogue, and we're not gonna give you all 10 million, but we'll try and get it to a point that you guys feel better about. I think the way the players feel about it should matter. They're the ones who play the games. They're the reason that the club is in the tournament. You know? I'm going to drop the link to call in and chat here if anyone wants to come on and lay down some takes. I heavily encourage it. Actually, it helps me out in these situations when I'm rocking double duty and running the stream solo. So definitely don't be shy. And whoever calls in, you can have a lot of the floor. Like I said, got my mind in two places for these sometimes. But while I wait for you guys to queue in, can talk about the game a little more, I guess. I thought it was interesting to watch Minnesota United play. I talked to Jeff Ruder a lot and read a lot about the sort of extreme tactics that they've been playing in terms of the amount of possession that they keep, or that they don't keep. So I, like, having not watched them all that much this year, I was curious to see what that actually looks like in practice. And they definitely don't possess the ball. That is for sure. But what they were really good at, it was interesting because, James, I see, I'm going to get to you in a second. It was interesting because they ceded all that possession and felt like they were sitting back a lot, but they're somehow really good at kind of playing what looks like a bunker and counter style, but not really sacrificing like chance generation or attacking output. They got 3 goals in this game. I thought the first one Schmetzer said it was poor defending, but I did think that was, I mean, the ball movement that they had and the passing on that goal was very good. They win the penalty on John Bell off a counter where Joaquin Pereira, I think, was one-on-one with Christian and ran around him, I believe, and then John Bell just cleaned him out. But again, that was another kind of just well-orchestrated opportunity. So I think I can see why they're third in the West. James, if you can hear me. Okay, yeah, you acknowledged. I'm going to bring you to the stage right now. James, thank you for calling in, man. Appreciate it. How are you feeling after that 3-2 defeat to Minnesota United? And if you got any thoughts on the protest as well, feel free. We're talking.
Yeah, to paraphrase Brian Schmetzer after the LAFC game, I feel better in Vancouver.
Oh man, I totally forgot to make that reference, but yeah, very good point.
Yeah, brutal. No, I thought a lot of what Schmetzer had to say was interesting. One of the things in his halftime interview that he said was he thought there was too much passing and watching and not enough passing and moving. I would agree with that. I mean, I think in the first half there was a lot of dumping it out to the wing and hoping for the best, which is just not a great strategy when you're going up against a team that fields 3 big center backs. I mean, that's kind of their bread and butter. And I don't think that our new right winger Jackson Regan was the solution to that. He was so out of position. I mean, I who knows if this had anything to do with the penalty, but he was so out of position on that one. He was way up on the right wing. And so Bell's kind of up on an island. And he obviously makes the wrong decision. But if he had his center back partner in the right place, maybe that would have made a difference. I don't know.
What do you think? What do you think was the intent behind that? Because it seemed very clear that was like an intentional tactical wrinkle to sort of have Jackson shaded out like that as opposed to his normal positioning, didn't it?
I mean, Schmetzer kind of talked about that. He said, they play with one up top, and so we'll, we would still have at least 2 defenders back, which seems like risky business to me. Regan's capable of delivering a good ball. I don't know how many good 6'6" crossers of the ball there are out there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I hear what you're saying about Schmetz's answer, but it felt like the outcome of it was more than a couple of situations where you had Jackson Regan attacking from the flank like Alex Roldan, which is just I don't know if that was what was intended from it, but that's what happened a few times.
If you've decided that you can sacrifice one of your center backs going forward and you're putting in a lot of crosses that aren't having a lot of luck, it seems like the answer would be to have him attack the middle. But I mean, just with Regan's speed, for all his other good qualities, with his speed, I wouldn't have done it at all. I mean, I was sort of continually saying, as I was watching this, Jackson, go back. Jackson, go back. And it kind of bit us on that last one. But, there was some good fight in there, too. KKR, Pedro de la Vega, good combination for the goal there. Atrocious camera work on the part of MLS. They're showing a replay or something, and all of a sudden the ball's in the back of the net, and I'm like,
"Oh, that's classic." I was there, so I didn't see that, but that's
they interrupt the replay for the commentator screaming. It's fine work there, guys. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the protest, what I think the players need to do is sort of explain why they agreed to that clause in the contract. And I don't mean that a negative way. What I mean is there was obviously a reason that they agreed to it. I don't think we didn't conceive of the fact that there could be more money. It makes all the sense in the world. I mean, so when I read through the CBA, when all this started going down, what it says is, you get 50% up to a max of $1 million for any required or optional tournament, basically. And sort of my first thought was what they're trying to do is prevent the really rich teams from hosting bogus tournaments so that you don't have the Arthur Blank Invitational with a $10 million bonus and then they can just evade the salary cap that way. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking. but I would like to hear the players sort of explain why they agreed to that. Because like I said, I think there's more of a reason that and again, not in a negative way. It's just there was a thought process behind that, and I'd like to know what it was. I don't know that I like hearing them say, well, we're not feeling any motivation to go out and advance in this tournament when your fans have spent, maybe $1,000 to take their family to one of these games. I completely agree with them. I would like to see them get more money. I think they deserve more money. I would much rather have it go to the players rather than paying down the Longacres debt. But I don't know that they're going about it the right way. I don't know that they're winning people over.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that I was interested to see how much the public perception of it will change, if at all, from it. I do understand the notion of this added tournament it's added wear and tear on your body. It's like adding a bunch of games to a season where you already have a ton of games. And I understand the frustration of feeling like you're not being compensated fairly for that. It does seem like they're kind of caught with the CBA a little bit. Like the powers that be don't have to accommodate this at all. So I don't know. What did you think? Didn't it seem like Schmetz was saying that he was heavily implying that it was a distraction during the actual game? Did you catch that / agree with that?
Yeah, I don't particularly. I mean, I don't know. Like Schmetzer said, he's not in their heads. He doesn't know. But I think that the problems that we saw in this game were problems that we've seen before. The one Schmetzer talked about is way too much passing and then ball watching. That's a problem we've seen before. Over relying on crossing and hoping. That's a problem we've seen before. Even some shaky defending. How much of that is Reagan coming back from an injury? How much of that is Bell just... Look, I like Bell. He's a good $100,000 player, but he is a $100,000 player. You can't expect perfection. KKR sure didn't look like he was distracted.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Christian, I didn't think looked distracted. Kent, I didn't think was any good. I didn't think he looked distracted though. So,
what do you think is going on with him? Is it just like teams have scouted him up and are more prepared for it, or is there anything more to it than that?
Well, I mean, you have to look at when he burst onto the scene. The first game was against St. Louis, who are a bad team, so bad that they just fired their manager. And then Houston, which was 0-0 up until they went down to 10. And so it's not the hardest competition. And then the last few games, I don't think he's been effective. I think it's something that teams have gotten scouting on him, but I've noticed this pattern for a long time. I mean, I think it happened with Chu, I think it happened with Rothrock, and I think it happened with Georgie, where they come in as kind of an X factor. They're able to, they play without fear, but they don't get support. I mean, this was something that Georgie, I noticed a lot during the playoffs last year. Nuhu's not the best. He's a tremendous defender. He's not the best in the support. And, brigade talking point, but Rusnak doesn't offer the same support that Ladero would have. I was watching through some Chu highlights a while ago, and I noticed that Ladero was always doing something. He was either making a run for him, or he would. One that really sticks out to me is the goal that he scored against LA, which is kind of a long distance shot. Ladero plays a little 1-2 with him, and then Ladero takes off down the left wing, which pulls a defender off, which allows Chu to cut in, which gives him that shot. That's just not something that Rusnak ever does. I mean, the support's not there either in terms of certainly not an overlapping run, but really not even runs into the box. And so that's just a recurring problem that we have with our wingers is they get put out on an island and they have to try to beat 2-3 guys. If we had somebody more mobile at the number 10, and if we had a Brad Smith type player on the overlap, I think that would open up a lot for the winger.
Yeah, it's a good point. James, I got a caller in the queue behind you, but anything else that you wanted to hit on with this game, the Whitecaps game coming up, the Whitecaps in general, anything at all?
One thing that I caught in Schmetzer's press conference when he was talking about Hanauer, he said, Hanauer's put a lot of effort and a lot of energy and a lot of life into the club. He didn't say he's put a lot of money into the club, so I'm wondering if he's starting to get a little frustrated. I'm wondering if Schmetz is starting to get a little frustrated with the transfer budget.
That's funny. I didn't catch that, but you're right. He didn't say money. Did he say resources? Or he put it was like he was talking about passion more than resources.
I actually wrote it down because I wanted to save my notes for the conversation. That's how highly I think of you, Ari. I prepare for these.
I appreciate that.
But he said effort, energy, and life, and not money, not resources. So kind of funny.
Effort, energy, and life. That's it's going deep. That's deeper than money.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, James. Great call as always, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you very
hopping
much for
on.
having me. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time. All right, we got Parker up next, and then no one else in the queue. So if anybody wants to hop on and lay down some takes, by all means. Like I said, it genuinely does help me out on nights like these. So I'll toss that link in there one more time. Now we got Hunch in there, so we got an actual queue working. Link right there if you do want to queue in. And we're going to bring Parker to the stage right now. Parker, can you hear me? Give me that thumbs up. All right, got you. Brought you to the stage. Parker, how are you feeling after a 3-2 defeat at home to Minnesota United that also featured a pregame player protest in the form of a shirt with the Monopoly guy on it?
Yeah, I am really glad that they wore the shirt. Obviously, it stirs the pot. Lots of emotions behind that. I'm not a player. What I will say though is, by the way, thank you. Good to see you. Good evening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of a mix of emotions, and I want to apologize. A couple weeks ago or a week ago when I was on, I was a little bit sour, a little bit negative. I want to give a little bit of context. So I live in Idaho. I'm from the Seattle area. I grew up in Lake Stevens. My family has season tickets there. I have season tickets, but my tickets cost me 15 grand a year, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And so I try and make it to games when I can. If I can't, I'll give them away to friends or family, or just sell them on Ticketmaster. I can't do the ticket exchanges because the front office has tightened down on that pretty hard. Anyway, and so to this example of the players not having any motivation, I'm one of those people where I'm putting my money where my mouth is, or where my actions are, because I really support this team. It is, it is everything to me. And so when there's weeks where we're not putting all the pieces together, it sucks. But at the end of the day, I'm not mad at them at all for wanting a piece of that back. It's, in my opinion, it's ridiculous. Yeah, 40 grand's better than a kick in the shins, but it should at least be the inverse of that. 80-20, 80 to the players, 20 to the, and I know the inverse would be 90-10, but how cool would that be? This is probably an uneducated opinion of me, but it's not like the owners did anything besides fronting some cash. I know Hanauer's a different story, but we're not just talking about Hanauer. They haven't been the ones putting their blood, sweat, and tears in. I think it's a passion project for most involved on the ownership level. And some of the other owners that we have, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Russell Wilson is still a partial owner.
Yeah, I think he is.
I don't think
you
he's
got
doing anything.
You got Macklemore in there.
Yeah, and Macklemore's more involved from a community standpoint, but it's not okay, so Wilson gets $500,000 from this $9 million cut.
It's a good point. Yeah.
I don't know how that all shakes out, but I'm sorry, that should absolutely go to the players. No questions asked. He has, I'm glad, great for putting some money into it. Because of that, we earned the right to be in the Club World Cup. And it's not and if there is a liquidation of the team, then he can cash in then. Don't cash in now. That's insane. Or sell ownership or whatever it may be. So yeah, it's, and then it's even more crazy if we do advance. these next rounds are even more lucrative. We're talking, 25 million a game, 40 million a game, whatever it is, like, and you're gonna cap
And they would
us
still be capped. Like that is kind of
that
crazy.
hard. And because it's per tournament, that $1,000,000, that means that the players might get 0% the next game and the game after.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Like
That's like even with the knowledge that there's very little chance that they go far at all in this tournament. It's just like there's the principle of it, but then also the reality of it. What if they do like beat Botafogo and then like
Right.
somehow get through, at that point it's like, I think it's like that's a problem.
Well, yeah, and it's not like, okay, me professionally, I'm a huge fan of getting paid what I earn. If I'm kicking butt, I want to make bonuses. Like none of these players want to ride off into the sunset as has-beens. Let them have their shot. Like let them do their thing. And like, yes, we have this appeal with the community and the club and the locker room, and that's why we're getting these people. But like, we're also getting the people with the drive to win. And it's such a disenfranchised view. It's such a tone deaf take where it's just like it is what it is. Honestly, I think our ownership should be fighting for our players. I think our ownership should be advocating. It shouldn't be our players wearing the shirts. I'm glad they did, but our players should be going back to the players. Our ownership should be going to the players union and saying, "Look, hey, I know we signed this. Let's figure this out. Well, let's make this right."
Yeah.
Why is that on our players?
It is tough to sympathize with the corporate oligarchy in situations like this, because it's like the people that we're talking about, like give the amount of money that we're talking about that would be going to the players, like
It's offensive, honestly. I'd be so pissed. I would be so mad.
It's just I feel like it wouldn't make any difference, honestly, to an owner or FIFA, whoever it is, to just pay fairly. I know technically you don't have to, apparently, but like, I don't know. Still, it's kind of
figure out a way around it. Okay. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let the players pick their charity, right? Let them, set up a trust, and the players on the field, or however that works, like they cash out over 10 years. Like
there's got to be some sort of common sense solution, but
right.
Honestly, it doesn't. The complete lack of dialogue seems to indicate that there's not going to be much of a change in how this goes.
No, yeah, unfortunately, and go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go for it.
Well, like as a human being, I think as critical thinkers, we have the ability to put ourselves in both people's shoes. And so I can see the greed. I want to be careful how I talk here. I'm not calling ownership greedy, but I can see the incentive from an economic standpoint to shut up as an owner. To not encourage discourse, because it's a few more weeks and decision's done. Even if they have conflicting feelings eternally, they just have to stay quiet for a couple more weeks, and Wilson's getting an extra 500 grand. I don't know if that's how that works, but I'm just saying. Go ahead, sorry, and then I have a couple other takes.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you if you had anything on the game itself that you wanted to get out there, or the Whitecaps game, or anything ball related.
I honestly did not watch the Whitecaps game.
I mean, honestly, smart decision. I meant, oh, you didn't hear what happened? Oh, brother.
No.
Oh, brother. I'm about to lay it on you right here. They lost 5-0, and it wasn't even that competitive.
Dang it.
They got beat as bad, I think, as I've ever seen a soccer team get beat. It was incredible.
How is that even possible?
I don't know. I feel a little hoodwinked, because I was on record, as I've been saying repeatedly. I didn't guarantee they're going to win or anything, but I thought they were going to. I thought they had a great chance based on how they played all season and through CCC. I loved their chances in the game. I didn't think Israel was that much better than them. And not only did they lose, but they got just steamrolled. It was ridiculous.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Pivot here. Good news for MLS and them is now they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder for the rest of the season. Bad news for the Sounders because we're in the same conference, but I mean that's not I'm trying to look at the positive side. Okay, Nuhu. So on Wednesday's game in particular, and I saw it a little tonight, he doesn't have his third pass planned. So we all know Nuhu's athletic, and he's running down the left side playing like a winger, and he keeps doing these 1-2s. The problem is he's 1-2ing, he's doing a give and go off of Kent. Kent is the last guy that you have Kent do a give and go to you. You don't use him as your bouncing board. And what ends up happening is, like, whether it be to Kent or to Rusnak, this is an expression of an observation of Nuhu's activity that may bring a little bit of disappointment. So his like he's expecting it so much that he doesn't realize how far out of position he's forcing himself. So he's like upset when the give and go isn't given back to him. And it's like, dude, you're miles out of your space, which proved to be an issue tonight. He did not run back. It caused problems. He's trying to hurry up the left side, maybe get a cross in. And it's like, we have one of the best potential soccer players of all time on our team, Ryan Kent.
Yeah.
And you're just like trying to have your moment in the sun. Like, and that's the thing about Kent pivoting from that is, so yeah, let's say Nuhu gets the ball. He doesn't have his third pass planned. Like, it's just, oh, let me figure it out once I'm there. But Kent is not selfish. And in this scenario, that's a problem because we have people who are wanting the ball and he's just giving it to them. But like, I want to see him take on more people. I'm going to rapid fire here. Georgie, he had a talking to closer to, 3-4 games of the season after he's breaking people's ankles, where Schmetz was like, if it's 1-on-1, take him. If it's 2-on-1 or 3-on-1, maybe pass it. How they're lining up for him is it's a 1-on-1, and then you have two people behind that first person, maybe 15 yards out. I think he should still go for that 1-on-1 because if you beat one and then it's just another 1-on-1. I don't think he should.
And he can win those.
Oh, exactly. But he's in his brain thinking, I mean, obviously I'm assuming I'm not in his brain, but he's thinking, oh, there's three people there. It's like, no, like they're lined up in a triangle. You can get past this first guy and then evaluate then. So I want him to be more selfish there. And then do I have anything else? Yep, that's pretty much all I got. I want to see more from Kent. Oh, this is it. So like I think a lot of our players playing out of the midfield were getting stage fright giving the ball to Kent because he was missing a couple, this or that or the other. But it's an unfair conclusion when they were just dumping him every ball. He came onto the field, got butts out of chairs, and then for the next like 3 games, every single ball was given to him out of the backfield. Get it to Kent, get it to Kent.
It feels like they're spamming it right now.
Right. And then in the moment when it's like instead of spamming it, then use him, like, be more intentional. And there has to be a balance there, not like it, like you can't have stage fright because, oh, he didn't take care of those other balls. It's like, no, you were just literally sending him everything without a plan. So anyway, so that's what I've got.
Parker, great stuff, man. Appreciate you hopping on as always. And by the way, no need at all to apologize for the last call. You were totally fine. I didn't even know what you were referencing. So don't even worry about it. Appreciate you tapping in, and we'll catch you next time.
Later. Thank you.
Take care. All right, we got a few people in the queue here. I'm gonna try and get to all you guys. We got some rando here. Who's this guy?
I'm ready to be on.
I'm ready to be on the show. Can I be on the show now?
You're on the show.
Sorry guys, it's been a rough one in the Noah household, so I had to go play some pickup. But I wanted to chat a little bit about the game. I wanted to chat a little bit about the protest. I wanted to chat a little bit about how beautiful Ari is. And I wanted to chat a little bit about how the Vancouver Whitecaps will never be the Seattle Sounders and how no one apparently will ever be the Seattle Sounders. So how does that sound, Ari?
Yeah, no. Take it away for a minute here. I'm gonna get some water and use
Absolutely.
the bathroom,
Yeah.
and I'll be right back.
So currently I'm in my kitchen because I'm about to cook up this absolutely super hot fire these super fire takes here. But I think that this game got away from him. I think it was unfortunate, and honestly I need to do a rewatch of the match because I was dealing with the news of the day, which was these shirts, right? Like the shirts and the protest and all of that. So I was managing going semi-viral on Blue Sky and X and all of those kind of inquiries and working with Jeremiah to make sure that article got out. So honestly, like I missed a lot of the match, so I'm gonna have to rewatch it. But so those takes we're gonna put aside. But I wanted to briefly chat about the. I think that this is good color for the general feeling around this protest. I have never seen a more like scrambled group of individuals than the ownership when those shirts got rolled out. I was standing on the field getting some photos of the shirts, and I see here. This is my reenactment. Okay, who is that? It's Adrian Hanauer. I've never seen him on the pitch at a game like so intent before. I've seen him there. Obviously, he goes to the matches. He's a Sounder through and through. But like, I had legitimately never seen. I've never seen Adrian that huffy and puffy, man. Like
He
it
was huffing and puffing?
It was crazy. So to give some context, I go down from the press box to take some pictures of these shirts so that we can get them up for the blog post. And I run into Adrian. I'm like, "Oh, hey man, how you doing?" Because like I'm trying to like work that like one to get him on the pod, but two like
He's never coming on the pod. But
the
yeah.
best way to like as a journalist, in my opinion, to get information out of someone is to just like strike up like a bullshit conversation with them. Like you can kind of just like start to pull out random shit once you disarm them. You know what I mean? Maybe Ari, do you hear what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I think it depends on the context. Like,
Absolutely. But
an MLS owner, I think, might be a little bit trickier. But I mean,
it's like Adrian's like a little bit like I don't know. He's
more
like
down to earth than your
yeah.
average.
He's like it's okay to hate him. I get it. Like we've said it before. Like he's a rich oligarch guy. He's a frame oligarch.
Well, I think the criticism he takes is actually for the opposite.
Yeah, because he's broke, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
But
I think generally when it comes to MLS owners, he's like pretty like he's like kind of a chill guy. But I don't think in this situation he was a chill guy by any means. I've never seen him so angry and upset and frustrated. He was legitimately so tilted. I like was trying to strike up this conversation with him, and you know when you see just like your stress and anger in somebody's eyes. I was just staring him down in the eyes, and he has these like one-off Sounders sambas, and I looked. I was like, "Oh, dude, these are sick. Did you guys make that when you were designing those other shoes?" He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And then he immediately gets pulled away by PR to discuss the talking points and situation, obviously. But what was crazy to me, and this is something that I've never seen ever in my life. So Ari, feel free to correct me if you've seen this before. I'm sitting in the post-match press conference. Brian Schmetzer is about 3 minutes into his conversation. The side door opens, and who is that? Walking out. It is the one and only Adrian Hanauer, and he comes and sits right behind me in the presser, and his eyes are just beaming on Brian, just absolutely staring through him, piercing him like a goddamn madman. And at this point, the question had already been asked about the protest, and Brian was like, "I see it both ways, blah, blah, blah," scripted ass answer. I get it. He's kind of like caught in the middle because what are you supposed to do, right? And literally Brian out of nowhere, once he kind of realizes that he's there, he kind of like picks it up a little bit and he hits back with I think that this protest was a distraction. I think that he kind of was like jabbing at the players a little bit once he noticed that Adrian was in there. And maybe this is reading the tea leaves, maybe this is like a bunch of bullshit. I'm not claiming that this is exactly what happened, but that's what it felt like to me. I've just genuinely never seen that before. And then immediately I watch Adrian walk out. And then there's kind of like a throwaway like doorway between the players' locker room, like a back entrance. And so I watch him chat with PR and then go in there. And the locker room is closed for like kind of an extended amount of time. And then I'm like waiting, we're waiting, we're waiting, we're waiting. It's not unusual to wait a little bit, but this was like long. This was like a long time. And we were waiting and waiting. And the doors finally swing open and like there's like 12 Sounders players all standing together, and that's gonna be the presser. They did it as a group. But I was like, man, did Adrian just go in there and like have a conversation? I don't know. This is like genuinely the craziest drama I have seen since Raul Ruidiaz decided he was gonna crash out. Like we haven't seen anything like this season at all. So, for one, personally, I'm a journalist, so I'm not allowed to be biased, but I stand with the players. So that's my unbiased take. I think that they're not really asking for that much, and I think that honestly, if I'm being honest, like the way that I'm reading it too, it seems like Major League Soccer themselves have a lot more to do with this than any individual owner. That said, I do believe that if Adrian wanted to, he could find a way to pay his players extra.
That's what it seems like to me, but it's just we don't know like anything.
We don't know.
That's
We
I
don't
kind
know.
of I kind of am struggling to formulate an informed take on it because of just how much we don't know, but
I mean, it's
that is
hard
I
to
mean
yeah.
those are interesting details from the game, like just about his sort of demeanor and body language. I can't imagine he's pleased right now, and it's like I mean, we have no idea what goes on behind closed doors, like
No.
in a dynamic like this, but this is like a unique situation to anything that I've ever seen, and it feels like the tension levels between players and owner are ratcheted up in a way that I just haven't really. I don't think I've seen. I haven't
I've
seen this.
never seen this from the Sounders, and like I honestly like I think that this this group of players is not the type of people to like do something like this unless some shit went down. And I really truly think that Major League Soccer and the ownership is just trying to run the clock out. And so they did it the right way. They tried to hit them in private, use their union, chat about, like, hey, let's make this fair. I don't think the players are even asking for 50%. I think the players are probably asking for like 3 or 4. Like I think they're willing to settle for a lot less than everyone else is expecting. And I just find it wild. And I also find it wild too that like you're telling me Inter Miami and Leo Messi are cool with 40K to play in this tournament? You're telling me they're okay with that?
I mean,
does that seem
why?
real?
Well, why? I mean, I would kind of think about it like the opposite way. Like players like Messi, Busquets, and Jordi Alba, and all them, they've made more money than they could ever.
Yeah, they got more money than God.
Messi's got like Apple money. I don't think.
Bro,
like,
he's got the Moss Plus.
The Club World
Betty.
Cup. The Club World Cup payout doesn't affect players like that as much as it does like a guy on the Sounders, like a guy like John Bell or one of the lower end salary guys. Like
Exactly.
this stuff like it does make like a real difference.
Well, it's crazy because you have guys making like $43,000 a year, and
I think the league minimum is like 80 now. But yeah,
okay,
like,
$80,000 a year, like, dude, like that's like in Seattle, like you're not really living nice. You're not living well here.
gotta have like a second job.
Yeah, like no one's having a second job in MLS, but like
Yeah, no,
you're not like living large. And I saw a lot of this commentary online about like, oh, these rich soccer players want more money. I'm like, but they earned it. but they earned it, man. Like, what are we talking about? And it's just ridiculous to like. Why would you not want goodwill with your players? Why would you not want goodwill with your
That's why,
players?
like that question, just about the root of the whole dispute in the first place, it just makes me feel like you said, there's stuff went down, or is going down that we just don't,
Yeah.
we're not privy to. But
I think that it's genuinely getting bitter, and I think
oh yeah,
that
oh yeah,
it's like I was lingering in the locker room afterward, and let me tell you, the vibes, they're not good. They're not good between players and ownership right now. Like I don't see it going well. And I don't think this is going to be the last protest. I'll tell you that much. Unless they get a deal done,
this
this
ain't
is
over.
not going to be the end of it.
This is not
It's
over.
going to get worse.
This is just getting
And
started.
you know, I think it's funny too that like Brian commented and said, "Well, this is a distraction. This is a distraction. This is a distraction," because Steph had a really good comment to respond to that. Jada Evans of the Seattle Times, she's been doing amazing reporting on this.
Yeah.
Huge shout out. You guys should really go and check out her reporting. Other than the fact that I love her and she's an amazing human being. She said, you know, Steph, you know, Brian said that this was a little bit of a distraction for you guys. And he said, yeah, it is.
I think
It is a distraction.
Christian said that as
Or
well.
yeah, it was Christian. Yeah, Christian or Fry, they were both talking. Apologies, but you know, Christian said, yes, this is a distraction. So figure it out. Let's figure it out. It's not that hard. Let's figure it out. We're not asking for a lot, and that's that. And yeah, the fact that fucking Russell Wilson could be getting like 200K from this. Are you joke? Like, come on, come on. Are we serious? Did we not get rid of him once already? Like, that's that. If you're a fan and you're like on the fence, just think about it. We're about to make a solidarity payment to fucking Russell Wilson. Like that. That can't happen. That can't happen.
It's happening.
But this is a Lobbing Scorchers storyline. Like, this is good drama. We are in contact with the Players Association. We're gonna try and get an interview, try and get something going with that. We will obviously reach out to see if Adrian wants to come chat. Adrian, if you're watching,
0% chance that happens, but
floor is open, brother.
We
Floor
would
is
take
open.
that.
We would be more than happy. We will come to Long Acres. We'll come to your house. We can do it at my crib. Whatever you want, boss. You make the call. And listen, if you want to buy the podcast with some of that Club World Cup money, like, we'll give you good coverage. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I like, as much as anything, I would just love to hear what he has to say on the topic, because I have a hard time believing there's not like some sort of hand tying reason that he would
Can
go
I
to.
can I put out a conspiracy theory?
Yeah, sure.
I think this has been like a kind of a bullshit rumor with no standing, that Major League Soccer wants to take 50% of each club's earnings from the Club World Cup. If that is the case, and the club is then only guaranteed what, $4 million, $4.5 million, something like that. Maybe there's a case to be made there. Maybe. But honestly, even then, it's like Hanover should be mad at the league and standing with his players. Like, God forbid he gets fined. All those players are going to get fined today, by the way. Every single one of those players is going to get fined, whether it's internally from the Sounders or externally from the league. There's no world where it makes sense, man. There's no world where it makes sense. Like, it's just shocking. Like, even if there's something going on behind the scenes between Major League Soccer trying to take a shit ton of money and, you know, ownership not getting a bunch, or maybe there's like a loan involved. Maybe there was like a loan that they took out to buy the Rain and build Long Acres, and they're like, that due date is coming up, and, you know, maybe there's an issue there. But it's like, you gotta communicate that, big dog. Like, you gotta share that, because I'm gonna tell you what. We have a video on here that is one of our most viewed videos ever, that is talking about the degradation of the like quality of going to a match, right? Like, that the Sounders are kind of like selling out their team. Like they're not doing the things for the fans that make it worth it. And there's fans who haven't renewed. They're raising prices on fans. Club World Cup tickets are super high, right? All this stuff. If you're now going to start beefing with the goddamn players over money, I mean, I just don't see how that. I just don't see how that plays. I don't see how that plays at all, and I don't know.
Definitely doesn't
So,
seem good.
yeah.
I don't think a public massive financial dispute between the players on your team
No.
and the owner
And
that doesn't
we
end positively.
No. And we can, Ari, you might want to remove yourself from the screen for this one, but Major League Soccer is very anti-union. Like they are very anti-union to their core. That's a fact. That's not like, I think they would state that as a fact. They do not like their referees union. They tried to dissolve their referees union this past season. If no one remembers that, we did a whole interview on that. You can go back and listen. They've multiple times tried to dissolve the players union, and they do shit like this to the players union. And the reality of it is, Major League Soccer wants to control every single penny that comes into the league. And they don't like it when anyone else has a say about their own bag. And it's an issue. And so I think regardless of if this is fair or not, the way that Major League Soccer thinks about this is if the union is able to win their players a fair amount of money or more money against us and we continue to look like the villain, the union's only going to get stronger. So it's way more worth trying to fight this out, run out the clock so that the union can like kind of lose some steam, if that makes sense. Like they'll be like, well, you didn't get this done for us. Like players might be like, well, you didn't get this done for us. I truly think that plays a part in it too. Like there is a lot of calculation going on to all of this I'm sorry, I understand the $10 million is a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, you just signed a $10 billion fucking TV deal. Like, let's be so for real. Like, they're nickel and diming out here. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
I agree with that
What are we doing?
aspect of it.
So, I don't know. It's crazy. And then the last thing,
crazy.
the last thing I wanted to talk about was Vancouver Whitecaps. I'm sorry. We were evangelizing them, and
we were,
what
man.
a disappointment, man. What a disappointment. But also at the same time, a win-win for Sounders fans because like no one else can do it. We're the only team in the world who can ever do it. And Vancouver had the harder path, Ari. Vancouver had the harder path. I guess it was just too hard. I guess they couldn't do it. I guess they needed
that
an
was
easy path.
flying around. That was flying around. Seattle's path was easy. Vancouver's path is more impressive. They have the most impressive run of any team in MLS history. I mean, look,
Well, I'm so glad that their run was impressive.
I was
because it impressively ended with a 5-0. They got Champions League, bro.
We've given the Caps as much respect as anybody, and I think that you still have to respect the season that they've had so far, not just the Champions Cup run, but what they've done in leagues play. It is not easy to make a CONCACAF Champions Cup final and average 2.3 points per game in the league. But that was just it's one thing to lose that game, but that was as much as hard as I've ever seen a team get beat.
It literally, dude, it looked exactly like the other Champions League game. I was like, holy shit, we're just doing a cheap knockoff now? Like that's crazy. I can't believe we're doing a cheap knockoff.
What do you think happened?
I don't know.
Because they're not that bad.
No, they're not that bad.
To me, it looked like the moment got too big for them. It looked like
I think here's what
they
I wanna
weren't
do,
ready.
Ari.
They weren't up for it.
I want to save this for the pod. So
Okay.
I'm going to leave now, give this back to you, get some other callers in. Much love to chat. I'm headed out. Bye, guys.
Sounds good, man. Have a good one.
See you tomorrow for pod.
Thanks for hopping on. Yep. All right. Got a couple callers in the queue. If anyone else wants to queue in, feel free. I'll be hanging out for not all that much longer, but a little bit longer. We got Hunch Punch next in the queue. Hunch Punch rocking no video as always, but I'm just going to bring you to the stage.
Hey, how's it going?
Hunch. Okay, I got you.
Sweet.
How are you feeling about a 3-2 defeat to Minnesota United that featured a player protest with shirts with the Monopoly guy on them.
So yeah, let's go around a bit. First, I just want to say people should like and subscribe to the channel, and if you're not a member, you should consider becoming one. And thank you for having this after match show. It is just a joy to be a part of. I want to talk about the match, but since the looming topic seems to be this pre-match and Club World Cup, I want to make a couple points here. And then get back to the Vancouver match. But first, it's going to sound like I'm playing devil's advocate, and I'm not. I do think
please lay out the lay out the whole perspective.
So I do think MLS players are underpaid criminally in some state. Like the minimum should be like 100K easy, but that's part of the negotiations. And as far as how it goes, this CBA was signed in 2020. It's an 8-year agreement. We're 5 years into that. So you're past the majority of what they agreed to as far as that goes. But as we can already point out, like the legalese, the writing, the specifics is just fundamentally bad. And they're going to learn from this. But, I'm siding with the players here, but they kind of made their own bed in this situation. And right now,
that is a fair point. Like, that is a fair point.
Right now, they don't have leverage. So what you do when you don't have leverage, regardless of the situation, I mean, it could be anything. That's why you have strikes when it comes to any kind of union, is because you want to bring it to the public to bring attention to the opposition that you have. And that's exactly what they're doing, because they don't really have any other leverage. When they talk about not bringing anybody to the table, it's because they don't have to come to the table. And that's because they're stuck, meaning the players are stuck. And they really only have one more match to make an example, but then it's away in the case of MLS, or in case of Seattle. Now, that said, where are the other teams who are in the Club World Cup? Why aren't they saying something?
Well, so LAFC just got in.
No, fair.
Inter Miami, it is interesting that I have not heard anything from there about them having any sort of issues with this. I think that, like I was saying earlier, there might be an element of that this inherently affects a guy like Lionel Messi or Sergio Busquets or Jordi Alba less than it does a guy like John Bell or whoever's making way less money. But there are guys on Inter Miami that are like that.
But the union is obligated, meaning the players thereof are obligated to act in the best interest and should take direction from union leadership. Meaning it shouldn't be the Sounders arbitrarily deciding on their own to make this statement. It should be something that's coming from the union, and not for nothing. What are we talking about? 4 MLS teams?
The union did put out a statement right afterward, but sure. I don't know if that was coordinated or if the players just sprung this out and then they did. I mean, I don't know.
But my point being is, if the union's going to act, it shouldn't just be the Sounders acting. It should be the union in solidarity acting, even if it's only going to benefit those, and arbitrarily in the future could benefit any of those other teams that happen to qualify for this, which, by the way, I don't know when the next Club World Cup is. It may be after 2028, which would be after the next CBA. So this is maybe a once in the per CBA tournament at this point that this exists. So my point being is, it shouldn't be just on the Sounders players. And secondarily, we shouldn't be just villainizing, and I'm not trying to defend the guy, Hanauer. People have thrown his name out there and suddenly he's become a target. It's a single entity league. He owns a minority compared to what MLS owns of the club. And even if he decided, and I'm, again, not defending the guy, but if he decided to do something arbitrarily, potentially he risks making the other league owners that are on the other teams that are in the Club World Cup look bad. And then MLS has to say, well, you come to us, Adrian, to arbitrate what you want negotiated for in terms of how you get what you get. If you're going to go out and do this thing as a maverick and make other owners and us look bad, then what are you doing? Like, why are you an owner in our league? You give the league the ability to do that. So I don't know how many hands are tied here in this situation, but I don't think it's so straightforward. So the players are doing what they can to try and leverage it, bringing it to the public. That's where we're at. Noah also pointed out, the league just signed some massive TV agreement for $10 billion. I don't know what the actual amount is, but that's the league's job.
It's literally, I think it's a few bill.
Yeah. Well, the point is the players want the league to do that. The league wants to do that. They should be going out there and get as much money as they can. I mean, the CBA happens to be 8 years, but it doesn't matter. They want to incentivize the league to go out there and do what they can to get as much as they can, so then they can turn around and renegotiate and say, hey, 2 years ago you signed a massive contract. Let us renegotiate the CBA now that it's expired. So, just because numbers change and things escalate doesn't give you the right to go back on something that you signed that's an 8-year agreement. Again, devil's advocate, not against the players here. Really do think ethically there should be some consideration, especially with this kind of tournament, that they make more. I'm just not sure there's non-precedent setting room for that to happen.
No, what you're saying is not like anti-player.
Yeah,
it's
not
the
at all.
reality of the situation.
Yes. Not to mention FIFA set this number. FIFA could have said it's $1 million tournament and every club gets $1 million. Then we're not having this conversation. FIFA decided it's $10 million. Therefore, it's like, whoa. Now we need to re-talk about this because MLS,
exactly.
That's a problem.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like when I'm talking about like you wish measures of common sense could be applied where the technicality of the CBA can be acknowledged, but not like not just used as this like what's the word? Just chip that can't be worked around or negotiated in the interest of a situation that was unanticipated and pretty unique when we're talking about just how much prize money is involved here.
And that's why you have 8-year agreements, is because you can't afford to every 6 months renegotiate. Not to mention, should something happen and maybe there's a detriment to the league and there's less income, well, the players are going to say, well, you're not reducing our salaries now. We agreed to this for 8 years. We're hell or high water, you still owe us if we're playing. Like, that doesn't happen halfway through. So because this has gone the other way, it's easy, especially as Americans, for us to say, let's look out for the little guy. Let's look out to the union. These guys are hard done. They deserve more because the big owners are really raking it in. Understandably, like that's a reasonable approach, but that's not why you have agreements. So as much as it sucks, that's the situation. It is a poor agreement overall, I would say. What was it, 10, what was max million? It wasn't even a percentage, is that right? A max million regardless of the tournament payout?
Yes, it's capped at $1 million regardless of the payout, and then they divide it among themselves.
I mean, you could easily say
okay. If you think about it, like it's probably not going to actually end up affecting the numbers in the sense that like Seattle is in all likelihood not going to go super far in this tournament. But I think one thing that Fry was saying that I think you have to take into account is just that they're like the implications of what's currently agreed on are that you could have them in a situation where we're talking about tens of millions of dollars of prize money if they make a run, where they're still capped at splitting $1 million. Like that I feel like that is, if I'm looking at that objectively, that does not seem fair.
Which is why they should have written in the contract that it's 10 or it's $1 million cap or 10% or whatever, whatever's higher. And I guarantee you in the next CBA that's how it's going to be written. Like it won't be just a firm cap. But let me ask you this: we already played in the Club World Cup. There weren't protests the first time. Would they get paid for that one?
I mean, I don't remember, but
that's my point.
FIFA pumped so much more into it this time to generate interest and to try and like incentivize teams to take it seriously
100%.
and all that stuff. So it just it became something that it wasn't anticipated to be, it seems like.
Yeah. All I'm saying is the players didn't protest having to play it there. And again, I'm not against the players here. I'm just saying now that the numbers have changed, suddenly it's a big deal. This goes back to the bad agreements that they made to begin with. And then, I'll leave it on this. We talked about, I know I hate this as much as anybody. Russell Wilson getting whatever payout. Owners are in this to make money. Like whoever they are, whatever, like their whole point is to make money. So as much as it sucks, yeah, of course. But that comes back to how do we pay the players appropriately? And it needs to be something considerate, but they also need to represent themselves better at the table because there's all kinds of negotiations. We want less travel. We want chartered planes. Everything is give and take. So Anyway, I'll leave it there. I'm sure you guys can have a podcast or maybe even Under the Lights or something come up this week. It sucks that we have one more game before Club World Cup, with being Vancouver, as important as that is. But
Yeah.
moving on to the match, unless you got something else.
No, go for it.
Yeah, I thought we pinned them in great in that first half. I really did. And then come out in the second half.
But see, they like want you to do that. It's like accepting getting pinned in to like as like a strategy, I feel like.
But they had 11 behind the ball. Like, it wasn't like 9 or 10. It was all 11, well within their half of the field. It comes back to, like, we weren't generating even shots, let alone on goal. And I'll give you a perspective in terms of how effective they were versus we were. You know how many corner kicks we had?
How many?
I don't know. It's like 9. You know how many corner kicks they had?
Did they have any?
0.
One?
My point.
Yeah.
They make the most of their chances. And matter of fact, if you recall in the first half, that header off the crossbar, like, we could have been down 1-0 real soon.
Yeah.
And not that would have changed our game plan. We still would have played the way we did, but it would have been us playing from behind.
And you know what was crazy about that early header off the bar is that, like, you know, I felt like, based on the research and in my interview with Jeff Reuter, I had a pretty good idea of how they were trying to play or going to try and play. But you could see it right off the jump. Seattle had possession in their end, was knocking it around for, it felt like, 5 minutes, and then the first time Minnesota gets going on the counter the other way, Gressel whips the cross in, and I think it was Tawny puts it off the bar. So it's just like that is how they play, and and Seattle knew that, but it felt like they weren't, like, once the game was actually going, they didn't deal with it like they needed to be able to win the game.
Well, if you're them, you're going to take advantage of the fact that our CBs are, like, maybe wonky in terms of playing together, and also not knowing that Reagan was going to be starting, but it's probably predictable. It's like, take advantage, put the big guy in the middle, make them try and figure out who they're going to mark, and then get away from it. And he clearly was unmarked, being in that kind of contact that he had with the force that had bounced off that bar. So that was pretty predictable, but it just goes to show that, like, our shots are kind of questionable. I'll say going to the second half, giving up that first goal early, not great. I love the comeback, but that PK was soft as anything. The ref didn't do us any favors. I think if the officiating is a bit better, it's a 2-2 match, and that's probably a fair result.
I didn't mind the PK call.
I didn't like it. The ball was gone. We cleared it out, and then the player went down.
It's just one of those ones where the CB, like, when you go into it, like, clumsily like that and you clean the guy out, it's just, you're putting yourself in a bad situation, I would argue.
Well, he got the ball and it was cleared first, and then if you look at the Minnesota player, he turns, so Bell is coming to you chest first. You're looking at him like if you're in the camera. He's coming chest first. He clears the ball with the right foot going down. Their player turns his shoulder so that he's back to chest, leans back into Bell, and then goes down forward. Like, it is very much like buying the PK. But the Minnesota player did not play the ball. 2, didn't get fouled, no foot contact, nothing below the waist, as a matter of fact, and just crumpled. Like, I think if that gets VAR, it gets overturned. I think it was soft. Never mind the second yellow that shouldn't have been given previously, blah, blah, blah. Another point, Kent. We've talked about Kent.
Yeah.
I think he's been scouted a little bit. And I know you've made mention, you didn't really play soccer growing up, right?
I mean, I did when I was a kid, but not into my later life.
So when, like, the best player, because you could have free subs, you're not off for the whole match or whatever. You can have free sub. When the best player on both teams comes on the field, like, everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. And everybody's play changes. Like, your team who has that player has more runoff. They try to get that player the ball. They make runs. They do things. They wait for him to juke somebody, whatever it is. The other team's, like, clamping down defense. The difference is now other teams have scouted him to the point where they know how to play against Kent. Our team doesn't know how to play with Kent. And we're leaving him out there, and I feel like he's trying to do too much as opposed to being supported in the way that's best for him, but also not putting too much on him. Because, I mean, you will see in the previous match, going back one, Alex Rodon feeding him the ball. And it's like, that's not a mistake. Like, that is direction, that strategy. Hey, if you've got a clear opening, cross the field from our defensive third to the attacking third to Kent if he's open. That's a lot of pressure, not to mention there aren't 5 or 6 other people that could receive that ball, like, in that direction. Like, just don't dump it on him. Not to say I don't want him to have the ball, but it really feels like we're trying to run it as though he's running through the middle, despite him being just on the left wing. And then Nuhu, of course, maybe not the best support. Nuhu hates making a pass where he can't immediately get the knock on, and you could see him get flustered when he throws the ball with his hands up, trying to make a pass, and somebody hasn't made the run, so then he can then be forward for it. He hates dribbling up and then making a pass forward where he's no longer connected to the play. And I think Kent has spoiled him a little bit in terms of like giving him that play style. But I would say overall, we had 3 matches in a row that are going to be tough. And we really needed to get a result from this one because the Vancouver one's going to be even tougher. And you have to say,
you think so though? Because like,
yeah, especially now.
Well, but I think that could go both ways. I think what you're saying, it could be true that they are going to be pissed off and looking to rectify the situation and take it out on their next opponent. It could also be like, well, first of all, we all know that like how like the hangover that happens from that tournament after it's affected a lot of MLS teams. Before this game, I would have thought that they would be a team that wouldn't have to deal with that as much. I just think that loss was so demoralizing. Like that was beyond like a normal L. Like if they went out there and had like a super competitive game and were scrapping and fighting to the very end and barely lost it, or even if they were any more competitive than that, then I think maybe their mentality is different. But I think and then you also have to take into account that they're going to be missing like 8 or 9 guys, I believe, for national team duty. So you combine those. Yeah. So like you combine those two things together, and I'm looking at this game that it's much more there for the taking for Seattle than I would have thought if that game against Cruz Azul had gone differently, or if they had like their full side.
See, is MLS going on an international break for 2 weeks? Is it all of MLS or is it just certain teams?
I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the international break. I'll have to like look into that. All I know is it's been confirmed that they're going to be missing a lot of guys for the game.
Well, so one, I have to think we're setting up. We don't want to put anybody out there that we don't want to risk getting injured for Club World Cup. 1, 2, I actually think it'd be worse if Vancouver had won, because then you could see them having the sort of like, hey, we're just going back to an MLS match. So who cares? Now they're coming.
Remember when Seattle won it in their first game back? It was at FC Dallas. They lost the game. They put out like a rotated side, but it would they never got like their level back that season. So we'll see what happens.
But they won, is my point. Now Vancouver's been put in their place, and if they're going to have a 2-week break, I can see the coaching staff at the very least coming out and saying, let's go out on a high note here before we have 2 weeks off. And against a rival, not to mention Vancouver's in first. Let's not underestimate them. They didn't.
Oh, definitely not under it.
Yeah,
they've been the far and away best team in MLS all year, and it's not even been particularly close. But I mean, how much of the game did you watch tonight?
Vancouver, none. I didn't even realize it was.
All right.
If I'm being honest.
So just to give you like the full context of how bad it was, like I'm telling you, Hunch, it was about as non-competitive a soccer game as I've ever watched. And I'm not even like, and I'm not even like exaggerating that. It was that bad. It was that bad. It was unbelievable to see.
I mean, how bad was it the first half?
It was horrible. It was horrible from the jump. They conceded 8 minutes into the game, and it was 4-0 at half. 4-0 at half, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. I just think you want to come back for that, and reasonably you could argue that they didn't even truly play the second half. I'm just thinking like with us, we're the rebound. I mean, look what Portland did 2 years ago when they were on their losing streak and suddenly beat us and they go on and they go to the playoffs. Like it's like we have a notion for it, and I just think we're going to have an eye towards the Club World Cup, and we aren't going to risk anybody, especially who's close, for injury, and that we will try and get out there with what we can. But I have to think Vancouver is going to be just pissed off, if I'm being honest. And
I mean, yeah, I think so, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they channel what happened to them, because it was just one of the biggest flops you're ever going to see on a big stage like that. Hunch, I got a couple other people in the queue here. Did you have anything else you want to do?
You want to say anything about like what your upcoming schedule, especially around Club World Cup, is going to be? You going to have shows or anything like that we should know about, or any live feeds or anything that we should be engaged with post Vancouver?
Yeah, no, we'll let you guys know like the exact schedule and details, but we're obviously going to be covering the hell out of the Club World Cup. We're going to keep covering the beef between ownership and players. Obviously, I think that's become like the biggest storyline surrounding the team right now after today. So we're going to be covering it all, and will be the normal schedule, the normal rhythm of like kickoff, under the lights, and post game lives and stuff, or at least for Vancouver, should be the same. And we'll let you guys know about any alterations to that.
All right, man. Thanks for the time, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hear what other people have to say. Like I said, not trying to laud the ownership or make the players seem out, like they don't deserve what they're asking for, but I just don't see how it's going to work out in a way that's favorable for them at this point, not till the next CBA.
Yeah, no, I think you brought up points that are they at least have to be considered when you're talking about it. So, all right, Hunch, thanks for calling in, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, take care. All right, we got Jeremy up next from Cascadia FC. It looks like he's in a car. Jeremy, you're not driving, are you? Give me a thumbs up if it's not you who's driving. I can't really see you.
The streetlights, like it's
Jeremy.
it's what,
Okay,
like,
I hear you now. Are you
All right.
Are you in a car?
I am in a car. I'm in my own car. I have to clock in 20 minutes, but I've had such a wonderful day, and I had to hop in here and talk about
I don't want you streaming and driving. Like, is the phone like?
Oh no, it's fine. It's on one of the like little hanger things.
You've got it set. Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's set. We're good. I am probably gonna have to like set it down a little bit just to like get my badge out, because I got to clock in a little bit. But most importantly, Vancouver, they have the same amount of shots in a CONCACAF Champions Cup final as the Portland Timbers. Did you know that?
Wait, say that again.
They have the same amount of shots in the final of a CONCACAF Champions Cup as the Portland Timbers do.
Man, what did you you cover all of Cascadia FC, so the Whitecaps, as well as anyone who's not a Whitecaps fan. What do you think happened with that?
I think, broadcast was very, very, very insistent that it was because Gauld and Berhalter were out. Well, Gauld has been gone for pretty much the entire season, guys. So I don't think it's him. Berhalter, yes, that's a huge loss. But the one thing that's made this team so outstanding is the fact that it doesn't matter who is playing.
Yeah.
They're just always so good. And I thought that, in particular, the player who they needed to have the biggest game from tonight was Kubas.
Oh my God, he was so bad.
He's the one who
so bad.
Yeah, he's the one who gives Cruz Azul their first 2 goals. And once you have that, and you're already in a 2-0 hole so early in the first half, so early in the game, where the whole goal of a final is just don't concede. That's the most important thing. You don't want to concede. You don't need to play your full expansive attacking game. You just don't want to let the ball in the back of the net, because you have potentially 120 minutes plus penalty kicks to try and get the win here. So when Kubas is completely at fault for the first 2 goals, it's kind of mind-numbing. And at one point, Cruz Azul, they had 4 goals on 4 shots on target. I also host a podcast with Box State Footy. In that Discord, we were talking about how Takaoka was going to be a huge key to this game. he's the one who lets in those 4 goals. Some of them, like how much blame does he really have for like some of them? I don't really know, but it's clear that Takaoka, who I thought Takaoka was their weakest link on this team because I never really saw him as too much of a match winner. I mean, sure, he's a really good goalkeeper, but you need a match-winning goalkeeper in games like this. When you're allowing 4 goals on 4 shots on target, that's really tough. But most importantly, you need your only DP in the lineup who is Kubas because Gold's still hurt, and they haven't filled that DP slot that Stuart Armstrong had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they traded it for some GAM, or they with the roster thing. So I think that the most important thing that Vancouver needed tonight was a big game from Andres Kubas. He completely dropped the ball. And that's about it. I mean, White can't do anything when he's not getting service, and he didn't get any service. Nelson was a non-factor in that first half. Same thing with Ali Ahmed. The entire team just turned into complete non-factors. And you could say, oh, it's the shock of the altitude, it's the shock of like other stuff, but I don't really know. I mean,
they eliminated 2 Liga MX teams in this tournament on this run. Like I don't think you can just, it's as simple as like, oh, the road trip was too hard, or like if that's the same team that Seattle lost to in Champions Cup, and Seattle got 4-1 when they went down there. But like that game was 2-1 until like the 81st minute. Like it was like they were competing. Like Vancouver was chalked from the jump. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a combination of nerves because, like, obviously none of those players have been in an environment like that before. They've not so much the environment as in like, oh, a Liga MX away game, but like a one-off final. Like the closest you could say, and I'm going to bring this up because I find it extremely hilarious. The closest you could say that this group has been in a must-win game that's playoff kind of was when they beat Portland 5-0 last year. And in that game, it wasn't so much a like, oh, Vancouver's just like swarming them and they're just so much better. It's like, I can't believe Portland's playing this badly on their home field. So I know different coach, different players on that team. Like, I mean, there were a couple, but it's so interesting to me that this Vancouver team, who I thought was kind of trending a little bit downward heading into this game, I think if they do play this game a month ago, it's much more competitive. I still don't know whether or not they would have won it, but it's so interesting that the way this game was scheduled with them kind of coming in on the downslide, you obviously think they're going to have they probably might have Gauld available if you're looking at this game a month ago, but I don't know. But it's really funny that they lost 5-0 in particular. I was begging for 2 things after Cruz Azul went up 5-0. The first one, I did not want, 1 second, I gotta grab my work badge. I did not want Cruz Azul to score a 6th goal because Vancouver beat Portland 5-0 in that playoff game. I didn't want that. I was like, this needs to be 5-0 because that makes it 10 times funnier. The other thing that I didn't want them to do was to take a shot, and both of those held. So I'm really happy with this. The question I heard from your last caller about whether or not Vancouver's going to be really amped up for this, it really depends on how many people they do have on international duty. That's all I'm going to say. I think you guys are majorly getting away with one by having to play this team. I'm sorry?
I was just going to say, even if they weren't missing all those guys, I just I'll be curious to see what the emotional impact is, positive or negative. You know, you can either dust yourself up, get back at it, and get back to being the Whitecaps that got to the CCC final. But I think it's honestly just as likely that like this sinks them.
That's what I'm worried. Well, I mean, not really worried about because it would be extremely funny. But and that's what you got to root for in sports. You always got to root for the funniest possible outcome. And I think that it's way too early to say this might be a Linsanity run, but the way that they were playing, you could tell they just had so much momentum, unbelievable amounts of momentum. They were just always able to tap into just this inner momentum that they had stored up from the past like 3 months. And when all of that momentum comes to a crashing halt in Mexico, while another team is lifting a trophy after 1,000 of your fans have traveled all the way down there, but who are undoubtedly having the time of their lives right now. I think that this is the turning point of their season. And the question is whether or not it turns for better or whether or not it turns for worse. But yeah, very, very interesting for them. Just a quick touch, because I'm gonna keep this to like 5 minutes to get other callers on here, because I assume they're more in the queue.
I got one behind you, so
all right, yeah.
Want to lay down your
in this game,
Last
the protest is stealing a lot of the headliners. I think everyone's kind of given a similar take to me on that. I do stand with the players, and also I find it extremely funny that Seattle is getting 2 Club World Cups for 1 tournament win.
Hey man,
And
more merit to it than the other MLS clubs.
yeah, which is true. Like, that's why I'm just like, sure, fine, give the Sounders another one. Like, because it's better than at least LAFC having to play 1 game to get in, and Miami Miami just being invited. So I don't have like too much of an issue with it. But at the same time, the players are absolutely right in their protest. That Schmetzer press conference was one of the more entertaining things I saw today, and for this weekend in general, because I've seen a lot of things that have entertained me this weekend. But yeah, it was really interesting to see him. Just like, you could tell how infuriated he was. I think he wished that the players would have like come to him about this, because I truly believe him when he said he had no idea the players were planning something like that.
Oh yeah.
And I understand why the players probably thought they couldn't, but like, he just felt so left out, and he's kind of on an island right now. Because as Noah said, when Hanauer enters the room and Schmetzer is all of a sudden just like distraction, like that's not he's in a really tough place right now. In addition to someone in that press conference asking him about Botafogo, when Botafogo is 2 games away, not the next one. And I think that he almost broke there. He almost broke there. But yeah, onto the game. Kalani Kossa-Rienzi, I like to talk about one thing positive, because I think he has won the starting right back spot by now. Even if he doesn't score a goal here, he's just been, it angers me greatly that just another draft pick or just someone like youth affiliated with the Sounders has just broken through so effortlessly into the first team. But I think that it's only a matter of time before he becomes like a locked in starter with the team. He's very, very good.
It's been good competition between him and Alex Roldan. I think they've been pushing each other and making each other better.
Yeah. I think it's another question for Brian to solve too. But the other thing was, after Minnesota goes up 3-1, it seems like every single attack that the Sounders were trying to generate to try and at least cut the deficit to 1, which they eventually did through, I don't think Georgie intended to cause an own goal, but he did either way. Probably a little bit of justification for Schmetzer there, but tons of attacks just going up and down that right wing. And I get it. You want to get Georgie isolated against, Markinick for like a second before he got subbed out right after probably getting a second yellow card. I'm going to be honest there. That was a second yellow card. But you guys have now joined the Timbers in teams that are like kind of screwed over by Lucas Schbala. So welcome to the club. Not as big of a screw over as that LA Galaxy penalty decision, but I'll accept it. Welcome. I thought that that if you're going to sub on Ryan Kent, you have to like at least play to his side of the field a little bit more. I'm so confused why they weren't doing that. It just seemed like everything was just go up the right, and the idea stagnated into the attack, because Georgie's going to beat the first man. He's probably going to beat the second man. If there's a third man, screw it. He'll beat that. He'll beat him too. He's unbelievable. But what does he do to deliver that final ball? Is he going to deliver an accurate final ball, or is he going to finish? When you're down 3-1, you need every single ball to go into that box against Minnesota to be accurate. And I just thought that was a little bit confused. I think the players were distracted a little bit, but not enough to where they could have imploded like that coming out of the second half. I didn't see Minnesota scoring 2 goals in quick succession right away. So, that's back on the training pitch, but now it's just a little bit of headbutting going on potentially between ownership, coaching, and the players, which that happens when there's money.
Money like this, yeah. It's it is crazy how it's escalated to this, but All right, Jeremy. Thanks a lot for the call. As always, appreciate your insight, man. And have a good work shift. Is that where you said you're going right
That
now?
is correct. I'm about to clock into a nightly shift as I do 5 times a week at the United States Postal Service, and I will be out at 7:30 with probably some bright sunlight. So, yeah. Oh well. But I got 2 successful hate watches to keep me powered through it, and there's
There
no
you
better
go.
fuel than hate.
Hell yeah, that's a good place to wrap it. All right, good stuff, man. We'll catch you soon.
All right.
Take care.
So,
all right, we got Brian up next with no videos. So I'm going to bring him onto the stage, and then I'll toss the link in one more time. Probably going to start wrapping it up here soon, guys. But if anyone else does want to, I can take 1 or 2 more if anyone wants to lay down some takes. But we're going to bring Brian to the stage now. Brian, can you hear me?
Yo, what up, man? Yeah, I can hear you.
How's it going, man? How are you feeling after a 3-2 defeat that also featured a pre-game protest with the Monopoly guy on a shirt?
I didn't actually watch the game. I just seen the highlights. So, and I will say the goals. Like, I don't know why this year our defense we're just conceding a lot of goals. Like, I looked and we've already conceded 22 goals in 17 games, and like last year we conceded something like 30 something.
35.
Yeah. So what happened? Break it down, because what was the whole game as a whole?
Basically, it got decided at the beginning of the second half when there was 4 goals in 7 minutes, I believe, 3 of which were scored by Minnesota, and they were just very effective in their tactics of ceding possession, but being just extremely efficient on the counter. And the first goal was poorly defended, but it was good execution. But then the second one was a bad penalty to give up. And then the third one came directly after Seattle cut it to 2-1, and that was just kind of the killer.
Yeah, I did see the penalty, and it is a bit soft, but also you can't really be going in like that as a defender in the box. Like, they're going to give a penalty for that. So I know some people think it's like not a good call, but I'm not.
I wasn't too pressed about it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. You can't be going in like that in the box, especially.
Yeah. What did you think of the pregame stuff? Have you caught up on that?
No, I'm actually out of the loop with the whole thing,
Oh,
but
okay.
I did hear what you said, like 1 million to split, no matter how far we make it. I think that's like BS. Like, obviously, it's not going to affect us because we're not going to make the final. But let's just say on a miracle we did, and we're only splitting 1 million between the players. Like,
Exactly. I think that's the issue.
That's not fair at all. Like,
but the problem is that as per the CBA that they just negotiated, that is the cap that was instituted. So there's really no leverage. And so that's sort of why the protest is taking place.
Sticky situation because, I don't know. I don't have much more to say on it, but I feel for the players, especially because, it is. It's just capped. It's just weird. It's just
you just you never want a situation where your owner's beefing with his players. So we'll see how it ends up. I don't know. I don't really know what to expect, I guess.
I have a question. With how bad our defending, should we be looking to bring in defenders this summer? Because I think that we may have to. Maybe freshen something, because it's been bad this year. Like, and I don't know.
I don't know if I consider the defense bad as a whole. I still think, personnel wise, it's still the same unit that was one of, if not the best defenses in the league.
Yeah, that's
last
what
year.
I
I think
with.
there's been individual games where they are conceding the types of goals that they just didn't last year. And so that, to me, like, the hope is that it's fixed because we've seen this personnel play defense at an elite level. But your point is taken. Like, the amount of concessions, kind of needless concessions that they've had this year is certainly, it feels like it's happened more than it did last year.
Yeah, it's so weird how it's just shifted when we have legit the exact, pretty much the same defense as last year. So I don't know what's really happened this year.
Well, and then I mean, you're in a situation right now where Jackson Reagan was coming off injury. You don't have Yamar, so like both of your starting center backs have been injured.
Yeah, my only thing
So
is
I'm
that,
sure that's played into it as well.
yeah, but will say even with our backups or our starters, there's been games where it's been just bad. So it's like, I don't know. And we better hope for a miracle against in the Club World Cup, especially against that PSG team. Like,
Hey, I don't know. At this point, like I've
Uh,
never been all that concerned about a miracle. My hope is just that they compete with dignity, put on a
yeah, me
good showing, and like the result versus a club like PSG is what it is. I'm not gonna. Some people are clearly feel differently about it, but for me, I'm not gonna lose all that much sleep over it if they lose to the team that just won UEFA Champions League.
Oh no, I just don't want to see us concede like 10 goals or something like that. Like
Yeah.
if we could lose by less than 5, I'll take that as a win.
I mean, they 5-0'd Inter Milan, so if
Yeah,
they do
that's
any
what-
better than that, that's basically a W,
yeah,
right?
that's what I'm taking as a win. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Brian. Well, I'm gonna start wrapping it up here, but good call, man. And have a good one, and we'll talk soon.
See you.
Take care. All right, guys. That's gonna about do it for your boy here as we pull up on almost 2.5 hours here. What a couple of days, man. I mean, it was just yesterday where Noah and I were doing our first ever watch along for the Club World Cup charity match. That turned out to be some incredible content. If you haven't watched the watch along yet, I recommend going through, and I was trying my broadcasting hat on. I was doing like play-by-play, kind of like joke play-by-play. But we ended up streaming for 3 hours. And then you get to today where you have Sounders, Minnesota, and the Champions Cup final on the same day. And honestly, like I was more looking forward to the Champions Cup final than like Sounders Loons in June, you know. Like I mean, I was looking forward to the Sounders game, but like as far as the stakes of it, Champions Cup's obviously there was way more riding on that game than there was on this game. But then we get to the Sounders game and there's a protest. The shirts were pretty funny. I won't lie. I think that should be taken into account here. Like with the Monopoly guy on it. Wonder whose idea that was. Who got them made? Who got those things made? We were sitting up there in the press box and they showed Paul Rothrock warming up and we were all like, whoa. And then they lose the game, which Schmetzer said, like, if you're going to do that, you got to back it up. The implication being that they didn't, which they didn't. They lost the game after doing something that could be perceived as a distraction. They played perhaps a little distracted. I don't know. Christian Roldan said after the game that, yeah, this is a distraction right now and we need to get it resolved. But now there's a beef between players and owner. Have you guys ever seen like a player owner beef like this? I'm trying to think of like a like for like situation. There have been owners that have been like, I'm talking more just like, I guess, generally across all sports. There have been owners that have like major scandals. But this was the whole team. This was the whole team wearing these shirts. Look, I don't think it's a good thing for the Seattle Sounders to be in this situation right now. But it is undeniably good for the content. So definitely gives us stuff to talk about, stuff to cover with the Club World Cup coming up in weeks. Klein out, yeah. Klein out. Chad, I missed your question earlier, but hell yeah, when you're here, you can meet up with us. Absolutely. We love it when people say hi to us. If you guys ever see me out and about, you can come say hi. I always have my headphones in, but honestly, it's like awesome when we meet people who listen to the show and like the show. And whoever was asking about kickoff tomorrow, yes, Nico and I are going to be back in about like 8 hours time or whatever it is at this point for Lobbing Scorchers kickoff. We'll be here. We'll be here. All right. I'm going to call it on that. Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. Appreciate you all. I mean, I'm going to be back right here at 8 a.m. tomorrow. So I'll see you guys then. Have a good one. Don't want to give money to the oligarchs, but love Lobbing Scorchers? Do we have a deal for you? MLS Season Pass is back on Apple TV with access to every single MLS match, including Leagues Cup and the entire Audi MLS Cup playoffs with no blackouts. It's not just the games, you get total access to the pre- and post-match MLS 360 whip-around show in both English and Spanish, and get live look-ins and highlights from around the league, as well as full match replays and recaps. Now, you can support our show by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV to purchase your subscription and support our show.
Lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV. Please, don't let the oligarchs win.